What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 121, and we start today's episode off with Andy Carroll coming to us and saying please play us in this game against Cardiff City here away in Wales. As you can see, we're just about to enter April. This is the last day of March, and he did get on the bench and he does come on to the pitch eventually, but I've been asked a few times by a couple of people on Twitter and in the comments as well, from people asking me what's the best way to try and keep your players happy. And you know, it's not easy for me to say, because obviously you see during my career mode a lot of players come to us and complain sometimes about the wages or the game time they're getting and so on and so forth. But one thing I definitely have seen is that when a player complains and says he wants to play in the next game, so well, doesn't complain, but he says I want to play in the next game, I want to play in the upcoming game, one of my tips for you is, even if you don't want to play him, put him on the bench and, you know, bring him on with like 2 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, because you'll see after the game Andy Carroll, despite only playing the latter stage of this game, does say, you know, thanks very much for playing me, because it doesn't matter if he comes off the bench or starts the game, a player will always register playing some part in a game as getting the game, which, you know, effectively he has. He just means he wants to start. But you know what I'm trying to say here. So that's just a little tip for you. I've been asked a lot of times. I'm not very good at dealing with players' morale on this game either, but that is definitely something that does help if you have a player that wants to play a lot of games but you don't really want to play him in the game you're just about to play. But still, we did indeed take on Cardiff for the first game of today's episode. The first chance fell there, but the header went wide the post, and then the 28th minute we had a chance from a header ourselves. The corner went all the way through to Lacazette and his header was well stopped by David Marshall, so still 0-0. In the 39th minute there we came through with Saido Berahino backheeling the ball to Granit Xhaka here, and as Xhaka fake shots around his man, it's a good chance because he's got Creswell going down the left hand side. He's got a good cross on him, so he swings the ball into the box. Berahino goes for the header, it goes to Lacazette at the far post, and his shot is very well saved by David Marshall, and eventually Fabio gets the ball away, so still 0-0. But in the 43rd minute Lacazette's on the ball for us here and back heels it to Granit Xhaka, who fake shots around his man, ball rolls before playing a great ball into Wilfried Zaha. Zaha crosses the ball in here, Berahino wins the header, and well, David Marshall, he's a very decent goalkeeper, but that was really poor. Berahino wins the header. It's not a header with any real power on it, it's just going right above David Marshall. All he's got to do is tip the ball over the bar for a corner, and instead he just tips the ball in the air and it falls straight to Berahino, who diving headers the ball in, and it hits David Marshall on the lower back and goes into the side of the net. So pretty poor goalkeeping from David Marshall really, and we do indeed take the lead. And in the 63rd minute Madeira finds Granit Xhaka here, who flicks outside of Berahino. Berahino takes on the last man Turner, cuts inside with a step over, and the referee gives a penalty as the Cardiff skipper, and number 6, gives it away. And to be honest, I wasn't really sure at first. I thought that Turner could be a little bit disappointed about the call, but as you'll see, he does get a touch on the ball, but it's only after Berahino's gone through him and past him. So I think the referee's made the right call there with a penalty. Again, some penalty decisions on this game are really debatable, so maybe it wasn't, maybe it was, I don't know. All that we do know is that it definitely was given, and Saido Berahino stands up to take it, and it's a wonderful penalty as well. And I have to say, I think that's probably the best penalty I've ever taken. That was absolutely incredible, and the funny thing is I didn't even get the cursor all the way in the green, but it smashed the side of the net before going into the back of the net. The perfect accuracy, and it wouldn't have mattered Marshall gone that way anyway. He's never stopping that one, and Berahino, captain for the day, makes it 2-0. And it was how the game finished, and you can see Carroll there celebrating as well. He only came on for the last portion of the game, and again, as you'll see in a minute, he does actually say thanks for playing me in the game. So it's always recommended you do that if you do have a player that wants to play in the next game but you don't want to play him in the entire game. Just bring it on for the last couple of minutes or so. But yeah, a double from Berahino in Wales does mean we get the win by 2-0. Obviously, as we now enter April, obviously as the games are, you know, running out, there's not too many games left now. We do know that the league, I mean, I've been, you know, trying not to say it, but the fact of the matter is the league is won now. We can, you know, already crack open the champagne, because unless we lose our final games, all of them, and the teams below us win all their final games, then obviously the title's going to be ours. But still, we then had a youth squad monthly report and also a couple of scouting reports as well. Not too many of these players look amazing. We're still really hopeful that one or two will just completely surprise us and they'll look absolutely incredible. But even so, we did look at our youth squad monthly report, and I have to say Ryan Sa, even though his potential is lower than 90, which I always deem to be important when you're promoting rating a player, it's 82 to 88. I looked at his overall being, I think it was 65 to 69, and you looked at the key stats as well. All of them were light green at the very lowest, and that's surprising, because whenever you have a youth player, usually their stats are obviously, you know, quite low as you promote them straight out of the academy. Usually they're always in the yellow or the reds. There's a couple in the yellow or the reds for the highest stats that you could probably see, but no, on Ryan Sarr, every single key stat is a minimum of a light green, which is very, very good. I don't think I made much sense there, did I? But you know what I'm trying to say. He looks very decent, that's all I was trying to say anyway. But still, you also have a squad report as well as we now enter April. Of course, only 2 months of competitive football for West Bromwich Albion left, as we are coming towards the end of the season. And as you can take a look at the squad report, you can see how the players are doing. Obviously, it's a really good squad, and as I've mentioned a few times now, there are some of you that do want me to leave West Brom, and you know, I'm looking at this squad and I'm thinking, if we do stay here, you know, where do we improve on? And I'm looking at it right now and I'm thinking, I wouldn't mind signing one sort of standout world-class player, but depending on the budget, we might not be able to do that. But I still look at the squad as a whole, and I think the whole team is just so good. I mean, like, every single player in the first 11 is 80 or above. The lowest is Savanier, actually, with 79. So there's one player about 80. That's Savanier, but he's only 18 years old and he's 79. You know, so he's clearly going to grow much higher than that. And you know, it's hard to look at that team and pick out a weak spot. So if we do stay here, not sure where we're going to improve on in the next year's summer transfer window. But if we don't stay, at least we know that we've left West Bromwich Albion with a couple of really good kids in the academy, some good players already promoted from the academy, looking very decent for the future, and also, of course, a very strong side regardless. But that was a look at the league table. 8 games to go. I mean, you know, all we really need to do in the next game, I think, is win, and we mathematically win the title anyway. I think that's right, but I might have got that wrong. But all I know for sure is that unless we lose all of our games, there's no way we're not going to win this title. But still, we took on Milan for the second game of today's episode here away at the San Siro in Italy, and of course, this is the Champions League quarterfinals. We won the first leg by 2-0. Goals coming through Andy Carroll and Mbanyang. So coming into this game, I felt very confident, and as per usual, my focus in European competitions in the knockout stages is always grab yourself an away goal. You know, it's all well and good keeping clean sheets and trying your best to defend, but if you can get yourself an away goal, you really do look confident with it in the second leg. But this, of course, was the second leg, but the same philosophy was there, because if we got just 1 goal in this game, Milan would have to score 4. Because even though they could score 3 and equalise the score on aggregate, of course, because of the away goal ruling, would be going through. So, you know, just 1 goal meant they need to score 4, and of course, you couldn't really see them doing that against our very strong defence. And the first chance would fall in the 18th minute as Andy Carroll back in the ball to Jordan Henderson. He plays a wonderful through ball in towards the runner Salvio down his right hand side, who drills in across, and Andy Carroll does get his second goal in 3 games or 4 games now, but still his second goal in just a few games. He'd been on a bit of a drought, but a couple of goals in quick succession is always good for a striker who needs to start banging in the goals again. And it was a really nice team goal as well, right from the back with Ricardo Rodriguez playing the ball along the ground, passing it nicely, and a brilliant ball by Henderson to Salvio as well. And once he drilled the cross in, Carroll could not miss. So 1-0 to West Bromwich Albion. We had that away goal, and that meant for the rest of the game, it was kind of just, I don't know how to explain it really. Like, there was still a job to do. We still wanted to not only win the game, but also keep a clean sheet and have a good performance. But I was still sitting there thinking, even if we don't do all of those 3 things, we're still probably going through, because you can't see Milan scoring 4 goals. And their first chance would fall on a stroke of half-time, with Patagna's header going just wide the post as it shaved Joe Hart's near post and went behind for a goal kick. And in the 45th minute, unfortunately, some sad news. Carroll does get himself an injury. He would manage to complete the game, but thankfully as well, despite the injury, it will only be a 5-day injury, and he'll be back for the next couple of games. But still, in the 54th minute, Niang's header went wide the post of this long ball going forward there towards our number 7. And in the 79th minute here, well, you can see in the second half, Milan had done effectively nothing, and for a side needing to score 4 goals or they'd be leaving in the Champions League, it was a bit of a surprise. But you know, I guess at the end of the day, they kind of knew they were going out. But with 10 minutes to go, and Mbanyang would score his second goal against his club to make it Milan 0, West Bromwich Albion 2. He scores at his former ground, the San Siro. Again, shows the respect as he makes it 2-0. Lovely little Ronaldo chop, and again, the tie was over, the game was over, but it still felt very nice to have a good performance and a good win by 2-0. And it was funny as well, as the last incident you'll see is Andy Carroll hit the bar here. It's funny as well, but in this game it was the exact same scoreline against Milan in the first leg, and the exact same scorers as well in Carroll and Niang. But still, the most important thing was that we did win the game by 2-0. So obviously delighted to get to the Champions League semi-finals, and we're on such a good run in all competitions this year, minus the Capital One Cup. You can't see any club really stopping us. I mean, there are some absolutely fantastic sides in the last four: Chelsea, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, three of the strongest sides in Europe. But with the way we've been performing and the way we've been playing, I honestly believe that we can beat any of those three despite how good they are, because the fact of the matter is we have showed this year just how much of a fortress the Hawthorns is, how good the team has been, and that we can run away with anything if we perform on the day. But as always guys, a big thank you for watching the video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, then please do leave a like, and I'll see you for the next episode very soon.